The fourth quarter of 2005, I went to the President's Course. It's a 2-day-long course. How many people in the room, raise their hands, went to the President's Course? Okay, good. I've been through it 3 times. Literally 3 times, because I'm slow. And I need to be told multiple times. The first time I went, it was like a fire hose being put down my mouth. They told me all these great ideas, all these wonderful things that could be done. I only took away one thing. That's all I could hold on to. I mean, I just couldn't grasp anything different. And this is what I held on to right here. Dave Sullivan described the sandbox theory to me. And he said, you want to create an area of freedom for people that work with you. And you want to be able to say, this area is a defined area, and anything inside here you can do without asking me. Okay? So we'll set clear expectations of what we want to have done. You can do anything you want to get from point A to point B inside this box. But if you need to go outside that box, you need to let me know. Okay? And around the box, you're going to have policies and procedures. You're going to have the culture of the company, the ethics, the values, the laws. You need to understand, I mean, these are just certain things that are not going to be budged. You just can't. We have budgets. You can't go beyond the budget. And if you do, you need to talk to me about it. You know, your standards of performance and objectives. So all these things. So I thought, wow, if you go outside this box, all we have to do is have dialogue with the manager. So I grabbed a hold of this and I kept thinking, wow, this is great. And Dave said, I'll tell you this. When I was the CEO, David was the CEO of several publicly held companies, and I grabbed him at a break and I said, how would you, what kind of conversations would you have with your employees on your staff members? How many did you lead? And David said, you know, I led 5 to 8, whatever the number was. And I said, okay. And he said, you know what I did, David? Because in my thing, I'd pull it out, and no matter who it was, if it was Janice, I'd come over and I'd say, these are the 5 things that we agreed that you would work on. I'm gonna measure you on these 5 things. This will determine whether you did a good job or not in our organization. And when I talk to you, I only ask you these 5 questions. I may have a personal, hi, how are you? How's it going? But when it came to business, I only ask you about those 5 things that we determined we're going to measure the results of what you did. I said, yeah, right. Sure. And Dave said, I'm not kidding with you. I only asked these 5 things. That was the only conversations I had with my direct reports. And I thought, wow, imagine if we could do that over and over and over again. So to me, I grabbed onto that. And I had this idea in my head. I said, well, I'm thinking this scorecard. Maybe I could give people a scorecard that would show them that they're doing a good job, very good job, outstanding job. I don't know. And that if they wanted to perform at a very good or outstanding level, we wanted to challenge them to do that. And I thought, how am I going to go about getting every single person in our company to be aligned and make all this stuff happen? I mean, it's a daunting task, to say the least, for me. I really, really struggled with it, because I've got a leadership team, we've got another set of managers, and then we have all these people that are out there. And how are we going to do this for everybody? I said, we've got to start somewhere. How do you go about starting? I didn't know how to do it. So I wanted to create a system, and this is just my vision, and I'll move on. I said I wanted to go to every employee and say, I want to be able to tell you on a weekly basis whether you're doing a good job, a very good, or outstanding job. And I only wanted it to be on 3 things. That's hard to base someone's job on 3 things. Let me share with you how we did it. This was the idea I thought about. I thought, you know what, if I could have, whatever the measurement was this week, what their actual performance was, and this is what we said was good, very good, or outstanding. And if I could send that to them, that's what I wanted to do. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper. That was my goal. That's what we started off with. So I said, now that I knew what I wanted to do, we had to create guidelines to get there. So what were the guidelines? And again, I'm telling you what we did. What I'm hoping you're going to glean from this is you have to create your own guidelines. David's guidelines aren't going to work in your world, but you have to create guidelines, is my point of the conversation. So we said, take 1 employee, and I want to start with our senior leadership team. So that's my job. I said, David, how are you going to measure? I'm going to take our CFO, I'm going to take Al, okay? I said, how am I going to determine that Al does a good, very good, or outstanding job? So the first thing I thought of is, why did I hire Al? Or even better, if I don't have Al, what will be the results of my company? I may not make enough money. We may go out of business. We may not collect the money fast enough. We may not find areas that we're missing from a financial standpoint. The analysis isn't being run. I couldn't figure, I just knew if Al wasn't there, what would the result be? So I went back and I took Al's job description, and I looked through his job description, and there's like 30 things on his job description that Al's supposed to do. And the very best one is other duties as assigned. So I'm like, yes, this is great. You know, how am I going to figure out how to measure that one? So I went back and we started this thing. So I said, you know what? Who knows better than Al whether he's doing a good, very good, or outstanding job? Who knows better than Al? I said, Al, tell me how you do a good, very good, or outstanding job. How can I prove that you do a good, very good, or outstanding job in comparison to your lookalike at another home health agency down the street? How would you do it? I'll see you next week. You come back in with those answers, and I want you to be able to make it whatever those items are, write them down on a piece of paper and come back. He came back. He had a whole list of stuff. I said, okay, some of these are actions that you're doing to create a result. Well, I go through the billing on a weekly basis. I do the financial reporting. I go through all these things. Why do you do all that? Was my question. What is the result you're looking for by doing that task? So I try to measure results, not task. But I made it a collaborative effort. Al and I went back and forth. And I tried it with one. And to me, finance is easier than any of them because it's a very cut and dry, systematic way of doing things. They're used to rules and regulations and the way they do things and the way they understand things. So finance was easier for me to be able to talk with Al about that. So I said, let's come up with it. And I said, bottom line is this, give me 3 items. I don't want it to be any more than 3. Inside our company, the goals have to be either financial compliance or quality impacted. Because not everybody in our company can control from a compliance standpoint or from a quality standpoint or financial. But if all 3 of them will encompass everybody's job in my company. So that works. I had a challenge in the beginning to say, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I would like to make it where if they did a good job, that's what they got their salary for. If they did a very good job, they should get a bonus for that. If they did an outstanding job, they should get even a larger bonus for that. So my goal originally was, let's make it where they could earn between 10 to 25% of their salary, depending on their position, as a bonus. Again, I just threw a number out there. It was just a number in my mind. So I'm starting with Al. We're going through this thing, and I'm thinking with Al, if he could produce so much more profit, it's pretty easy with Al, then it's worth to pay him a 10% bonus, 15, 20, or 25. Now, depending on where you're at in the company, there's a leadership level. They can earn up to 25. When you go down below that, they have all these different levels. So, okay, so that's what we did here. We moved on. We set this up. Manager and employee agree on the measurement report, because one thing that I didn't want to do is create a system that said you would get paid X amount of dollars if you hit these results. And then I'm the one who calculated the results. I wanted the results to be calculated by both parties. So we agreed upon a report, we agreed upon a system that at any one time you could determine whether you were going to hit the numbers or not. It wasn't some crazy calculation that took hours and hours to figure out. It's a simple number. Did you collect the money within 30 days? Did you collect the money within 50 days? We know that, yes or no. Did it come in? Something of that nature. So that's what we made sure. Next guideline, foster a mutual understanding of the quarterly EPS goals. We worked on this a lot, and what I mean by this fostering a mutual understanding is we wanted to spend time together going through our goals and making sure that we understand them. And I told him I wanted it to be fluid. These goals are not going to be hard and fast in the beginning. So let's set up something. You know, I can't guarantee it's going to work. So let's just set up something for the first quarter, and we agree what it is, and at the end of the first quarter we'll pay it out, but your goal may change, the number may change, the actual goal itself may change at some point, but it'll be mutually agreed upon. We'll both do it together.